Hello. Greetings, incredible leaders of Highpoint Industries. I am so sad that I cannot be with you folks today. I was hoping for a chance to come out again and be able to meet with you folks, brainstorm with you folks, and pursue the future alongside of you. But unfortunately, due to a scheduling conflict, I am not able to. So I wanted to just make a short video for you to give you a little bit of a idea of where you'll be going during this retreat that you're attending, give you a little bit of a peek as to what is coming, and I look forward to touching base and being able to be present with you in the near future. So the focus of this retreat is going to be on three topics primarily, and those topics are purpose, vision, and values. And the topics that you're going to study, as you study these three topics over this weekend, it's actually not going to be so much study, even as I say that. It's more about collaboration. It's more about you folks coming together as a team and deciding, what do these things mean? What do these words mean for Highpoints? What do they mean for you folks individually? And ultimately, what do they mean for your teams? And what do they mean for your organization as a whole? When we talk about vision, really what we're talking about is, where's the organization going? The vision is, where do you want your organization to be? What do you want Highpoints to look like in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? So looking at that bigger picture and saying, what do I want this to be? Where are we going? Because that allows us to decide, what do we need to do today? What does what we do today, how does that impact where we want to be? So I'm excited. I'm excited to hear what your folks' ideas are. Excited to hear about the things that get you enthusiastic, the things that you're like, you know what, if Highpoints is doing this in 10 years, that's the organization I want to be a part of. If that's the vision of this organization, then that's an organization that I want to be an active member of in the years to come. When we talk about purpose, we're talking about, what will the organization accomplish? A lot of times this is a very practical piece. Like, what do we want to do? And this can tie in with vision, but also the purpose is along the lines of, why does what we will do matter? So maybe when you're talking about creating these basketball equipment for folks, these different pieces of equipment for folks, that might be part of the vision, might be a numeric amount, might be a certain number of people you want to have access to these products, something along those lines. The purpose is, why do we care? Why does that matter? Why does it matter to us personally? Why does it matter to our community? Why does it matter to our organization? Like, how are we part of our community? And why does this matter beyond money? Definitely money matters. It matters that we can pay our bills. It matters that we can support our families. It matters that the organization can provide you folks with the benefits you need to be healthy, well balanced team members and leaders. But also there's deeper reasons why it matters. And that's what we're talking about when we're talking about purpose. So I would love for you folks, when you're in the section about purpose, to dig deep and ask, why does this matter? Why is this something that I want my community to have? Why is this something that would matter to my family? What are some of the things in your own past where having access to this type of equipment really would be important? Where does it tie in with the things that matter to you? And that leads us directly into values. And values are the elements that are basically non-negotiable, the elements that are worth pursuing, the things that we're like, this is important to me. These are the things that we say, you know what, if we have to sacrifice a little bit of this other thing, we will do it to make sure that this thing, our value, is maintained. And sometimes values can be a little more complicated. So the vision might be pretty clear cut. The purpose even is something we can often boil down to one pretty simple statement. It might have a couple sentences in it, but still pretty simple. When we start looking at values becomes more complex. And we want to know, what are the multiple things that we value? And what are the things that are worth pursuing as an organization? And these can be things external, the things that we value in how we provide for our customers, and how we provide for our communities, and how we provide for our stakeholders. These can also be things about what we value internally as the culture of our organization. Do we value open and honest communication? Do we value a certain way that we treat our team members? And if so, what does that look like? And when it comes to values, there's rarely a right or a wrong. It comes more to it being collective and based on who we are as a team. And you end up seeing your values in your purpose and your vision, because your values will show through in every day. How your values show up every day will end up impacting the larger influence that your organization and you as leaders have in your organization, and thus the influence you have on your community. The second portion of this retreat will be spent talking about stewardship. And stewardship is kind of an interesting term that we don't hear used a lot. Or when we do hear it used, we often hear stewardship used in regards to money. Like, are you a good steward of your money? And it's a fine topic. And it's something we definitely will probably be touched on a little bit over this retreat. But more, what we want to talk about when we talk about stewardship is, when we talk about stewardship, we talk about the things that we hold with intention and attention. Intention with an I, attention with an A. So what are the things that we want to give great intention to, that we want to do with excellence? What are the things that we want to give great attention to, that we want to focus on, we want to give our time, our energy, our money to? And usually when we're talking about stewardship, it ties directly and closely in with our values. So the things that we value, we tend to steward well. And oftentimes we can get a better understanding of what our values are if we're struggling with that by asking ourselves, what am I stewarding? Where am I giving my attention to? Where am I putting my intention toward? And when we look at those things, we usually can get a good idea of like, oh, this is what I value. So from an organizational standpoint, we want to look at what has Highpoints valued, what are they stewarding well, and what do we want that to look like in the future? What kind of organization, when people look at Highpoints and they say like, okay, here's where they spend their time, here's where they spend their intention, here's where they spend their attention, here's where they spend their money, here's where their focus is, people will say, okay, we have a good idea of what they value. And so we want to be very intentional about that. Also, if we define our values, so in the first section when we're talking about our values, if we define something as being our value, we want to steward those values well. So if one of our values is having amazing folks like you that are have incredible character, that are highly educated, that are willing to think outside of the box, like we have this incredible team, if we say one of our values is a collaborative, strong team that works together, thinks outside the box, we need to figure out how we steward that well. And that means, how do we show up for our employees? How do we show up for those that have invested in this organization? How do we treat them? How do we treat them with the same respect that they've treated this organization? How do we support them? How do we make sure they have the resources they need inside and outside of the work environment, and so on and so forth. So as we've identified the values, then we'll start talking about how we steward them well. And as we've looked at these things, as we've looked at vision, purpose, values, and stewardship, we'll talk about how this pulls together to create team, and how being a team, building these values, building these elements together as a team helps the team to be stronger. And how then it helps the organization to be stronger. And as the organization is clear on where they're going, who they are, what they value, how they're going to support those things that they value, the stakeholders benefit, the customers benefit, the team members benefit, and ultimately then the whole organization benefits. And that's cyclical. As the organization is stronger and more healthy, then all those that are affected by it are also more strong and healthy. Awesome, folks. I greatly look forward to seeing what content you guys come up with over this weekend and how you're able to come together, hash things out, and I'm excited to touch base with you in the future. Thanks. Bye.